And then once you surrender, then you can evolve. Like, I believe we have to go through these steps to get to the point where then we become the best versions of ourselves. And by the way, we never really arrive. We're constantly becoming. I tell my kids, learn something new every day. Right? So when my kids came to visit me in prison, they were 9 and 10. They would drive 5 hours to come visit me. By the way, you might notice that orange is one of my brand colors, right? I have it on. It's on all my slides. It's not because of Orange Is the New Black. My prison color was safari green. So I will never be caught in safari green again. I have rid my closet of safari green. But I wear orange because orange is the color of transformation. And I believe we have a choice to change and transform in our power. When my kids would come visit me, fun fact, inmates are not allowed to touch money. So they would come and they would go to the vending machines, they're 9 and 10, to get me Chobani Flip yogurt, which was like my thrill. It had just come out, and a Diet Coke. And then they'd go to the board game room and pick out a game. So the first game that they picked out the first time they came to visit me was Apples to Apples. Anybody play this game? I had never played it until I was there. And then that became our ritual. Every time they visited me, we would play Apples to Apples. And all they wanted to do was love on me and hug me and tell me about what was happening at school and about their friends and about their sports and like all the things that when I was hustling when they were younger, that I was sort of present but not really present, right? I learned to be where my feet are, to just be present. When we're going through these hard moments of struggle and uncertainty, when we can find the ability to be present and not run around all the time and actually just focus on who we're with, what we're doing in the moment, it is such a powerful coping strategy. When we're facing struggle, or when we're facing uncertainty, or the unknown, anything. So, how many of you have seen Orange Is the New Black? A couple of you? All right. So my cube was sort of similar, except I had a bunk bed. And I used to sleep on the top bunk. And you see that ledge next to the mattress? I used to keep a gratitude journal there. And one of my friends had sent me this, like when I first got there. The guards would walk by at 5:45 in the morning. I would turn on my nightlight. And the first thing I would do in the morning is I would write in my gratitude journal. I'm sitting in prison. I'm away from my kids. And every single morning, I would write in my gratitude journal. So these are 2 pages from my journal, the day before and Christmas morning. And I was really upset that I wasn't with them. But I was able to find peace by writing in my gratitude journal. And I'm sure some of you do this, right? Like studies show that when we write in our gratitude journal, it helps us mental health, find peace, growth. It feels like such a simple task, but it is such a powerful mind shift to be able to appreciate the good when things feel really, really hard. So I would write, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? What are my affirmations for the day? And what do I want to accomplish today? And then the last thing I would do before lights out, I would write in my gratitude journal. The power of finding gratitude in those moments when it would be just as easy to be negative and crumble and just fall down. Writing and finding gratitude gives us that power, helps us continue to keep going. Now, I spent about 5 months in federal prison, an hour north of Orlando at a place called Coleman. And then around Thanksgiving, my attorney sends me an email and he says, hey, there's a prosecutor in Tampa who is considering having you be a witness for another case involving the same client. So can you review some documents? He might take you there. So I review the documents. It gets decided that I'm going to go testify in this other case. Now, there's no federal prison in Tampa. So I get told, you're going to be sitting in county jail until you testify. Now, when you're in the federal system, your punishment, if you get into a fight or you get in trouble, the punishment is you get sent to county. Okay, now I'm voluntarily being told you're going to county. So I'm in handcuffs and shackles and a waist chain and an armored van, and I'm being transported to county. And what's going on in my mind is, I don't belong there. I'm an attorney, I'm educated, I don't belong with those women. Like, I had already spent 5 months in federal, and I'm sitting here passing judgment now on these women I'm about to go be in county jail with. So I get there, and the woman above me was a prostitute heroin dealer, and the woman next to me was a homeless person who had been selling drugs, and above her, a 24-year-old meth dealer with a 4-year-old at home. And I never before would have met these women in my former life. But I ate with them, prayed with them, cried, slept, got them to work out with me. And I realized, how dare I pass judgment on them? Because we are all drops from the same ocean. We are all humans living a flawed existence, and but for the grace of God, there go I. And they became my sisters. So one day we were sitting in these blue, hard metal chairs that were like stuck to the ground. And there used to be a TV stuck to the wall, like at the DMV, right? So we were sitting there, and we would when we were allowed to, we would sit and watch TV. And so the TV comes on, and the movie Burlesque comes on. Has anybody seen this movie? Yes? Cher, Christina Aguilera. It's a fun movie. There's a lot of singing, a ton of dancing. Like, I wanted to look like Christina Aguilera in this movie. So the movie comes on, and we get up, and we're like dancing, and the movie finishes. We're all having fun. We go back to our cube, and one of the girls says to me, "Hey, do you know how to Bollywood dance?" Which basically I was like, that's like a trick question, because all of us Indians think we know how to Bollywood dance. We definitely believe it and love it. So she starts humming a song, and she says, "Can you teach us how to Bollywood dance?" So I would like to invite all of you, if you are willing and able, to stand up. It's early morning. We'll get some moving going. Everyone stand up, if you're able. I see the naysayers over there. I promise you, it's like for a split second. Anne, do you want to come up on stage with me? No? Okay. Okay. Mark, any takers? Oh, Mark wants to come up. Come on, Mark. Give it a hand for Mark. So they say to me, "Can you teach us how to Bollywood dance?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll teach you a really easy step. You put your hands up. You bounce your shoulders up and down. Open and close the light bulb. And then shake your hips. There you go. There you go. You got it. Yeah. So in this moment, there you go. We'll dance a second. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. Here's the thing, right? I actually had spent my whole life not having fun. I had spent my whole life pushing, working, doing the things, getting the grades, making money. And I forgot to have fun. I forgot to find joy. By the way, I'm still working on this. Like, my now college kids are like, "Mom, can you please go date?" Right? Like, because I'm still working a lot. But like, it's a daily thing for us to commit to ourselves, to allow ourselves to find joy. Because if we're always stuck in the struggle and the uncertainty and what's going to happen next, like, we forget what we're here for, which is to actually have joyful moments with our friends and family. So I'm sitting in prison, and I found joy. I could have never expected it. So I testify. I'm in county jail for 23 days. And then I get sent back to federal. And one of the deal was, if I testified in this other case, the prosecutor in my case, Joe, was going to file a Rule 35 motion, which means a motion for early release, that I get to skip halfway house and house arrest and come straight home. Pretty good deal, I thought. So I get back. The hearing was scheduled for a Friday, 2 weeks later. So my attorney had said, the hearing's at 9, call at 10. I was like, okay. So the day before, because my parents had taught me right, I was like, I can't go home empty-handed. Hopefully I'm going to get to go home. So I learned a lot of prison hacks in prison. One of them was I learned how to make chocolate truffles. Now, you might wonder, this is where the chocolate story comes in, sir. You might wonder, how do you make chocolate truffles in prison? Well, I got 2 friends that worked in the kitchen to bring home some butter and cream. I bought a couple things from commissary, so like they had these fake Oreos and chocolate bars, like little Hershey's bars, and chocolate cocoa. And then I took chocolate milk from the commissary, from the kitchen, chow hall. And I made chocolate truffles. I put them out on this sheet that we used to all share in my housing unit and put it under the bed to dry. And the next morning at 10, on the dot, I walk over to the wall of payphones. Does anybody know what payphones are anymore? And I pick up the receiver, I dial like 80 numbers to get out, and David answers the phone and he says, first thing out of his mouth, "You're going home!" And that's what it felt like. Like it was total shock that I get to go home. And the next call I made was to my parents because they knew that there was a hearing. So my mom answers the phone, and my mom says, I said, "Mom, Dad can leave. I'm coming home." And you know what she said? "Dad left an hour ago." Like, that's the kind of faith my parents have. So 4 hours later, I walk out of the prison, and I run into my dad's arms. Honestly, he handed me my phone, and I was like, God, this feels like such a foreign object. And then I changed at the first rest stop. My mom had sent me some clothes. I had told my parents, though, don't tell the kids. So they were supposed to leave the next day, actually, to come visit me. It was visitation weekend, and I didn't want them to know. I said, let's surprise them. So I come home, and in our community in India, whenever somebody comes home after a journey, you do a little ceremony, a worship. So my mom did that. And I walked in the door, and this is the actual video of me surprising my children.
Now you see, did it work, my? So I jump.
Thank you.
Surprise!
Okay, so back.
Right, like that, thank you. And that was when I started my new life. That was when I realized it's not about my story. It's not about my past. It's about how do we rise through these moments. And none of you will go through what I went through, right? But all of you, all of us will struggle. All of us go through these moments where it feels like we're alone, that we can't get through this, and how are we going to get to the next day, let alone the next year? But what I know for sure and 100% believe is that every single one of you can, and the world needs you out there. Your people need you, your families need you, your teams need you to rise through those hard moments and keep showing up and believing in yourself that you can rise through these moments. So the other thing is, though, that I thought my whole life that I had to do it alone. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters. Somehow people think lawyers need to know everything, so I never asked any questions. But what I learned, as you've heard through this journey, is that every step of the way, from my Indian community to calling 200 people, to doing what I do now, my community, my people have shown up for me. Because I believe that when we rise through our struggles and we rise through it and share it with each other and be vulnerable and open and own it and be transparent, we actually rise together in community. This association exists for each of us to come together and collaborate and share ideas, experiences, thoughts on how to maybe do things better, on how to collaborate, on how to grow. That is the purpose of an association, right? When we rise through our moments, we rise together.